We completed restoring your late 1950s Heiwa Pachinko machine. This quick start guide will show you how to set it up and play. We've attached support boards to the bottom of your machine, 1x4s. For those who may be watching this video, you want to do something similar so that your machine doesn't fall over. Put it in a cabinet or attach legs, support boards to the bottom. Now the first thing you want to do is reset the one ball seesaw. It's the most common problem with Pachinko machines. This brass rectangular part here has two Pachinko balls in it, and it pivots up and down as you get jackpots. Right now it's in the wrong position, so just pivot it like that. Next you'll want to flip down the ball drain lever. This spring right here and this lever pivots up and down. This is the correct position for normal play, and it will stop the balls in this track. You flip it up when you're ready to drain the machine. We'll see that later. Now we'll add balls to your supply tray, and when we do, they'll roll down this track around this turn and come across this arm here, and they'll stop. And if you ever need to, there's a piece of plastic here that you could bend out and slide out if you ever had something jammed in the corner like carpet fuzz and such. Now as the balls go across this track, there's a lever inside the track that pivots. There's a nail here, and this catches on the nail, and it won't let you get a jackpot until you add balls to the supply tray, and it pushes that out of the way. So you got to make sure the top is full. Next we'll set the bucket, and we'll center it under here and under here. Well, actually, may need a larger bucket. This is the chute when you win a jackpot. This is where the one ball comes. When you don't win, here's where all the balls drop out. This chute over here is when you drain the machine. So you normally don't need anything over here until you're ready to empty it. Now the first time you load the machine, you need to get a jackpot. You need to activate a jackpot so that you can fill balls into the jackpot assembly. Right now there aren't any in here, so the first time you get a jackpot, nothing will happen. So what we're going to do is, there's a little hole in the plastic track here. We're going to drop a ball in. It'll roll down, roll around. It'll enter into the seesaw. The seesaw will pivot. Then the ball will roll out, roll in this track here. There's a metal arm that goes all the way across. It'll pivot that arm down, and as it pivots that arm, there's a pivot point. It'll push up on this rod, and when it pushes up on this rod, all the balls that are in here will be released. They'll land on this plate, causing the plate to bend down, and as it bends down, this rod will reset your seesaw for you, and then the balls will travel in here and then enter your jackpot and wait for your next time to get one. Let's go ahead and drop one. Okay, so now your machine is loaded and ready to play. Here from the front of your machine, in the center main attraction area, inside of here you can see balls kind of in the background. That's that jackpot holding area. This is just a device that spins as a ball enters. So I'm going to go ahead and drop one in so we can get a jackpot, and you'll see all the balls back there drop out and new ones come in. I have the glass off right now to show you a few things. First off, when you drop a ball in here, this is how you play. Here's your receiving tray where you're going to win. When you win balls, where they're going to go. You'll grab one out of the tray, and then you'll drop it in this hole here. And as you do, it'll roll across here and drop into the shooter lane. And now it's ready to be launched. By pulling down the flipper and then quickly letting go, it'll shoot across the room. And it would normally go up this track, around, ping off the nails. It might spin with these spinners, which would redirect the flow of the ball, and hopefully fall into one of these pockets, or this one, or this one. And if it goes into any one of those, the same thing happens. You get a payout of balls here, and as the balls are paying out, they'll fall down, hit a bell, and you'll hear a bell ring. If it misses all the pockets, it'll go down here, exit through this, and fall in your bucket and back. There is a window up here where you can see the balls in your supply tray. Let's take a look at that. Now it looks like nothing's there because we're looking at it straight on with the camera. But if you were sitting in front of your Pachinko machine at a parlor, you would be looking up at this window And as you're looking up, wow, you would be able to see that there's balls inside of there. And whenever you can't see balls inside of there, that's another indicator that it's time to refill your machine. Before we put the plexiglass in and play, I want to activate a couple jackpots so we can see it from the back. Here's a cover here, and there's just a dimple here and a dimple on the other side that's holding it in place. So I'm going to gently pull it off of those two dimples so we can see the mechanics in here, because in that circular area, that's where your jackpot balls are. So we're going to go ahead and drop a few in, and that way you can watch all the mechanics of everything happening up at the top. Then we'll do the bottom. Take a look at the bottom. The one thing I want to point out is many of these pieces are brass, a soft metal, and if any of them get bent just a little bit, even if they're a millimeter out of alignment, it causes the different parts to jam and not work properly. So you want to be careful if you ever back here at the back of the machine. Okay, let's drop some in. Okay, we're seeing balls shoot out here. This bell is pushed out just a little too far. I'll have to adjust it, push it back in. That way the balls drop down, hit the bell, roll through here, and then end up into your receiving tray out front. Just an adjustment you need to make. I need to make for you. Now, I'll show you how this part works. You really don't need to use it, but you could. This metal part pivots, basically allowing you to drain balls. So if I were to get a jackpot now, instead of the balls coming down here hitting your bells, they would just drain out this chute. I'll just go ahead and show that. So that'd be one way to empty the balls. I'll go ahead and push it back. You really don't need to do that. Now I'd like to show you the holding area. It's an area where if the seesaw was in the wrong position, and this is more important when they were in pachinko parlors as gambling devices, and let's say you ran out of balls and the seesaw's in the wrong position and you were still playing, any jackpots you would win would roll over your seesaw and go into a holding area, and they would wait there until a pachinko parlor attendant refilled your machine. So let's get a few of those. Okay, so if you've got balls backed up there, the way you get them out, first refill your machine with balls, then pivot your seesaw properly. And this part here that's on a spring, you're just going to push up one at a time. And it's basically causing the balls to pay out. Minus the ones shooting out of the side of the bell, which I need to adjust. Okay, I got all those cleared out. I want to show you that from the front. So here's that holding area from the front. I'll drop a few in. Okay, so basically if you start to see balls in here, that's a good sign you need to stop, reset your seesaw, and refill your machine. Now before you put in or take out your plexiglass or real glass, there's this plastic piece here that you need to make sure is in the right position. It has two notches in it. You can see the paper fitting into one notch. The other notch is actually currently activated into this metal bracket. So I can take it out of the notch and then I can push it in, I can pull it out. You basically want it in one of the two notches. In this first notch here is when it's locked, and that way the glass is locked to your machine, it won't come out. So we're going to pull it to the next notch, that way we can drop the glass in the top. So we have some plexiglass, we're going to put it in. There's a slot in the top of the machine. And we're just going to slowly work it down, supporting it as it's going down. Okay, now we can lock the back. Now we're ready to play Pachinko. So we'll take a ball out of the tray, we'll drop it in the hole, and we'll pull back on the flipper and quickly let go. And I pulled all the way down, and it had enough power to do 2 loops around and then drop here. So depending on how far back you pull the flipper, that's how much power the spring has to shoot it. So you can pull down part way. Oh. And try to aim for any of these pockets. Let's say we're ready to empty the machine. There is a wing nut here, and it controls a ramp here. We'll go ahead and loosen it, and actually it's already in place. But if it was collapsed back here, you could loosen it and slide it over to extend it so it meets with this ramp. Tighten that back down. You probably never need to change this. You can probably just leave it right where it is and it'll be just fine. We'll be flipping this up here in a second, but let me zoom out and show you so we can watch the balls travel down. Flip up. Okay, I'm going to flip this up. Okay, that got all the balls out of there, but you still have some inside your jackpot assembly. So we're going to go ahead and manually activate a jackpot. We're going to pivot this down, but however, there's this latch here that's going to block and not allow us to pivot completely. Oh, take that back. Guess it works. We've got all the balls out of here, but you still have some inside the jackpot. And the way to empty those is simply push up on this brass bar that goes through here, or just grab over here and pull down. Okay, now you've got all the balls out of your machine. That concludes this quick start guide. We sure hope you enjoy your machine. One last thing, we probably won't see this too often on a single ball. This is a common jam for a lot of other machines where you'll have a lot of balls backed up into this area. But let me show you quickly, just in case, how to clear that jam. Now you can either have someone help you or do it yourself, but basically what you have to do is you have this arm up here that's catching on the nail. You have to move it away either by adding balls to the machine or just pushing it out of the way. Now that dropped down and one ball fell out, but there's a lot of other there stuck. The weight of the balls is causing them to jam. So while holding this, you basically have to grab this arm and pivot it up and down, try and loosen the weight of the balls until they all fall out. Wow. It's even complicated by this part here that's getting stuck on the balls. You might even actually have to take a magnet and lift the balls out. Like I say, this is pretty rare on single balls, so yeah, that's what I'm doing. I'm going to get a magnet and lift those out. Okay, I've got a magnet. I'm going to grab a couple of the balls, lift them up, and then wiggle the other arm to see if that helps. Okay, those fell down. Now they're all out. So the key is when you're playing, if you ever get a jackpot and nothing happens, stop right away, address the problem, and then you won't have jams like this.